Well, welcome back. We're here for another episode of Culture Chat. Andie and I with Be Kind Life are thrilled to welcome Jeff Burke, one of our most trusted advisors. We adore talking with Jeff. So smart, probably one of the biggest thinkers that I know. So Jeff, it's wonderful to have you, and just so glad that our paths have crossed. What has it been, like 4 or 5 years now?
It's been a good bit of time, and it's very nice to see both of you and get a sense for how things are going. And it's going to be fun talking through some stuff. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for joining. So let's start with how you think about leadership. What are some of the key tenets that in your illustrious career you have seen leaders struggle with, or maybe be most impacted by having a certain toolkit?
That's a big question.
It is.
Um,
We go right for it.
I was going
Go
to
right
say,
in.
um, I'm going to riff through a couple different things that have helped me in my kind of leadership in the past, and things that I learned from some folks that I hold very high regard. One, the concept and the importance of having mentors, having someone that whoever he or she is, they've made a mark and they've left a footprint in your history, in your path to where you are. Um, there are folks that I go back to, literally my first boss at McDonald's, Lindsay Patterson, a bazillion years ago. And he was someone who I still to this day emulate or try to emulate some of the core kind of tenets of what I saw in him. He was someone who was kind to people. He was someone who took care of his people. He was someone who was fair. Um, and it made a very obviously lasting mark if I'm still talking about it today. And there are a number of folks over the years that have kind of risen to that point of another footprint in the sand that show where I came from and where I am. And so I would say that concept, the concept of having people that are the sage elders on the hill that you're able to learn from and look to and understand how to get a handle on something stable when the world is more chaotic. I think that that's a very critical thing. Then I would shift, and I'm going to kind of progress through some things that I think make sense, and we'll see if they do after the fact. Another thing that has been important for me is establishing for whoever you are what your grounding forces are and what your guiding principles are. And so there are things that people say, what's your North Star? Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to do? And I think that that's important when you're talking about anything you're doing. What are you trying to achieve, and what's the North Star for that thing? But then more importantly, from a leadership perspective, it's who you are, again, what your grounding kind of principles are, and what your North Star is as a human, as a leader, as a person who is hopefully someone who can be that mentor for someone else. And if you have something that you're able to communicate, and for me, it's take care of your team, act in the best interest of your team, be transparent with your team, and essentially, and this sounds kind of horrible, but not horrible, but it sounds rudimentary. Don't be a dick. Just
Yeah.
be a nice person.
We say it's rudimentary, but like this is where we always come back to. Like, be a kind human, be a good person. Like, don't be a jerk. Like, think about the person.
Nobody wants to work around a dick. Let's
No.
just put it out there. And so it's like, not even the dicks want to work around dicks. So why are we just acting in the way and treating people at minimum? I know this isn't the platinum standard, but at minimum, why are we not acting and treating people in the way that we would even want to be treated?
Yeah.
Right? And that baseline standard is everybody wants a kind person. Nobody wants to like have to encounter a rude person. Look at how many sessions and things we have around conflict resolution and difficult conversation.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to figure out how to deal with, sorry, Jeff, I'm going to keep saying it, dicks, right? But And we can start from a baseline of all the things you said, kindness and compassion and empathy and all
Mm.
these things that all of us want for ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a transition.
So if I were to take a step back and use some of the words that I've used more repeatedly and more consistently with the different folks that I've worked with, it's act in good faith, act in the best interest of your team, and communicate. And those
Yeah.
three things, if you do those, then every team that I've ever worked or had the privilege of working with and being able to support in a leadership position, I've always started with those. If you act in good faith, if you act in the best interest of this group, of this broader group, of this team, whatever your kind of dimension is, whatever scale you're looking at, and you communicate, I will always go to bat for you. I will always take care of you. I will always defend you. And then another thing that progresses from that is there's the concept of the pyramid effect. There's leadership where he or she is at the top of the pyramid. There's leadership where he or she is at the bottom of the pyramid. And I very much feel, just stylistically, I feel that it is my job to be there for everyone, not for everyone to be there for me.
Yeah.
And so it's more of I will take 99% of the arrows that make their way towards you, and I will pass 99% of the praise. I just want one arrow to hit you guys so you know what I'm dealing with. And I want one attaboy.
Well, that's where the growth happens. That's where growth happens. Like, that's okay, right?
And so that was an incredibly long-winded answer to, I think, a very succinct question that you
No,
asked.
that's great. That's great. And there's a couple things that I know I wanna double down on. One, the point about fairness. So if we can focus on that for a minute, and then, what you were talking about too with knowing we'll call them core values, North Star. Knowing who you are. Like, self-awareness is the key to being an impactful leader. Like, all the time, hands down. Like, it's the number one thing that you can do to be an impactful leader. So yeah, thinking about your core values and your North Star and how you're showing up, and even, like, not every day do we show up like that. There's dissonance that happens when we don't show up that way, but really setting that intention and being clear with yourself, knowing what your triggers are, and this is stuff we talk about all the time. But I digress. Can we talk about fairness? Because that comes up quite a bit, especially in today.
Hopefully I have some sense of fairness.
Well, so, like, what does that mean for you? Because to me, it doesn't mean everybody gets the same.
Yeah.
And so how do you communicate that to folks and instill a culture that still seems fair, but not the same?
So I'm going to drive down a path and we'll see if this makes sense. For years, and I literally had started to write kind of a paper before I knew what writing a paper meant. And this was 25, 30 years ago. And I titled it Relative Balance, because balance is relative. It's who you are, where you are, what the different forces are, which way gravity is, which forces are trying to elevate you, push you down. In that relative balance, where you can understand where you are in context of all the other forces in play and all the other parties in play, establishes how you can set real balance in that given structure. And that might look very different between Jane Doe and John Doe, and the relationship between John Doe and Fred Jones. And Fred Jones may, if I put myself in the management position, the relationship I have with Fred Jones might require much more hand-holding, much more attention, much more career coaching and guidance than my relationship with Jane Doe, who may be a more seasoned, mature professional. So there are things that I would do to help support her, which would be trying to identify how her career path is going to continue to give her the opportunities she wants, and to talk about things in that regard, whereas the attention or information or the kind of interactions I would have with John Doe might be more mechanical, tactical. How do you do your job better, whatever that might look like. So if you look at things from the outside, someone might say, well, you're giving much more time to John Doe, and that's unfair because Jane Doe, who's a much better employee, much more valuable employee, much more kind of long-term value proposition for the company employee, you're not giving her as much time. And what might be the case is I'm providing both of them a fair and equitable impact and value to where they are and what they're trying to do. It just looks distorted because there's a different amount of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
It does. Yeah. It does. And I think that this is such an interesting shift, right? Because if you just look at it from an HR standpoint, they sort of create these kind of policies to instruct to fairness, right? But the reality is we're moving into a customized, if we're not already there, but we're moving into a customized lifestyle. We think social media and our algorithms, we think what's showing up, everything is sort of.
Don't get me started on the social media.
I know, but
they're customized.
This is not a position of right or wrong. This is a position of this is where we are headed. We are in the space where everything is customized to the individual. So the idea that you can manage individuals in what you would say a balanced way, where I get 10% of your time, Rachel gets 10% of your time. May not be, and it isn't. We know it's not, because you used a perfect example. Rachel needs more time from you than I need. So you're effectively meeting my needs. It doesn't mean that that it's inequitable now because she sees you more. Maybe I don't want to see you as much. And I think this is a major leadership paradigm shift, though, right? It is now leaders, and this kind of goes to some stuff you were saying earlier, with I think the challenge with leadership at this point, right? And how we decide on who's going to lead people. Leadership is no longer about what your technical expertise is, and maybe it never has been, but we're moving so far away from leadership being about your technical expertise. I can do widget, I can create this widget really well. And so now I'm going to manage a bunch of people around creating this widget. And now it's really more about Jeff. I need to spend time with Jeff. I need to understand what Jeff needs. I need to understand how Jeff likes to work, how he wants to be communicated to. I need to connect with Jeff so I can figure out how to make Jeff as productive and safe and all the things we know we need employees to be. So I think it's a huge paradigm shift, because that is not leadership as a whole today. I think it would be fair to say that is not leadership today. It is that top down, you're here to serve the company, you're here to serve me, that kind of mentality.
I mean, this is what we talk about with situational leadership, right? Giving people what they need. But you have to know them. You have to know what it is what they need and how they're motivated.
So from your perspective, and either one of you respond to this, what's a scenario, or have you had a scenario recently where your understanding of what was needed in interaction with someone and what you had prepared for turned out in the first 2 seconds, 2 minutes of that interaction to be wildly inaccurate? And how do you assess that, understand that, on the fly, rejigger what your kind of new grounding point is, what your new North Star is? How do you adapt on the fly, or is that something that is not in your wheelhouse?
I think it's something, I'll own it, and I'll say I think this is something I'm actually particularly skilled at. And I think it's why I'm drawn and like coaching so much. If I come in with a preconceived, this is what we need to cover, and this is, the topics, and, we think we have an understanding of what like a workshop's going to look like, and I'll just relate it back to the work I'm currently doing. That makes me actually a little bit more nervous, because I don't like to have decided where the conversation needs to go. That's
Yeah.
again why I like this format, why I like the coaching and the group coaching, because we can come in with like, hey, I think this might be something that everybody's working on right now, or a topic that's going to resonate to folks. But where are you at today? You know, what do you need today? What would make this a good use of your time? What's top of mind for you? You know, sometimes in coaching, like, people just need a vent and a safe space to like clearly think and process for themselves, because we don't have enough time. You know, so it becomes like this sheltered environment where you get to process, you know, again, and think in a safe space. And if I'm projecting what I think you need out of that conversation, it doesn't go well. Like, it never does. I mean, maybe a handful of times when people just don't know what they need, or really just like, yeah, I'm good today. Then we can like dive into something that maybe I've observed or whatever. But again, I think that's why I'm really drawn to the coaching, and especially in the group dynamic of connecting the dots for folks and being able to say, well, you've got this going on, you've got this going on. Well, here's the synergies with that. So how do we help each other and think about it a little bit differently? So it's not too often that I toot my own horn, but in this case, like and it, yeah, you know, and I mean, I think it's why I've been drawn to the kind of work and feel more comfortable. You also mentioned like move away from the North Star, you know, like, or change the North Star, and I don't, right? Like, my North Star is very much grounded, or stars grounded in how I want to show up, you know, like, so that foundation doesn't change for me that much, right? I want to connect with folks. I want to do it in a way that feels safe and kind, and purposeful. And maybe purposeful is not it, right? Because we don't always have to have a purpose. Come to your point of like coming into the conversation, like, let's actually just take a minute and think about what we need. You know, one of the coaching questions to start with is like, what would make this next 50 minutes meaningful for you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's where my head went.
It definitely did. And there's a couple things that just my brain thinks obviously visually, because I don't have a whiteboard. I have to wave my hands. So
again, one of our favorite things about you.
So some of the things that kind of spatially popped into my virtual whiteboard in my head right now are the concept of when you're interacting with any given space, there's a sense of wanting to learn about the space, the individual, the dimensions that are involved, the different forces that are in play, the different objectives, the different perspectives. So there's all these different things that give you, as someone who's attempting to be of value to that space, there's a multitude of different points of view with different perspectives and perceptions that they have that you have to try and weave together to help them understand that big picture. And then in doing so, with that shared awareness, you can try and figure out where to go from there.
Yeah.
So that to me is the learn side of things.
Yeah.
Then there's the share. If you as an individual, or you as a member of this kind of in group that's involved, have the ability to share your perspective and what you see, and potentially share your perspective of what they're seeing, it helps, again, provide a better kind of common understanding for that group or that space.
Yeah.
And then the third piece is, after you learn and you share, you can collectively grow with that kind of group, or you can help progress that.
Yeah. And I think we're all pretty action oriented, right? Like, I mean, we've made careers out of get shit done, right? You know, so it's definitely action oriented. So there does have to be some sort of goal or purpose, or what are we going to do? You know, again, sometimes people need a vent and like to process, but it's like, okay, with all that processing, now what? You know, and I think what you're also summing up or shining a light on here too, Jeff, is like the power of curiosity. You know, getting clear and getting curious.
So the reason I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat is when you're talking about the fundamental nature of there's these things you can do to kind of pontificate about what things look like and the situational awareness and blah blah blah. But there's something that must be done with all that. And so some of the areas that I'm focusing on most clearly and most pointedly recently have been around structuring something that is essentially there's what you see and how you see it. There's what you think about and how you process that in an unbiased, unfiltered fashion. There's the movement that you are going to make with that information that you've processed in that fashion. And that movement is a decision, which is I'm deciding on the best information that I have at the time that I need to make something. Do I have enough information to make a impactful decision? And that's split into, is it an irreversible decision? Yes or no. If it is not irreversible, if you can take it back, then make something really quick and roll hot and move. And if it is not reversible, spend the appropriate amount of time. Don't spend 14,000 years on it. Spend the appropriate amount of time so you can make a valid decision and something that can get you rolling. And so that see, think, move, and then the last piece is repeat, and I call it steamer, STMR, is the freaking engine that you can have driving everything you do for whatever topic, whatever conversation, whatever concept. If you see with clarity, if you're able to think with precision, and you're able to move with kind of very dedicated persistence, and then repeat that, find out what you did wrong, find out what went right, find out what worked for someone. And that engine is an incredibly powerful tool.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
The reason I was grinning like a Cheshire cat is that is something that's very near and dear to me right now. And I'm trying to see how well that works and how well that resonates with other smart people like yourselves.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Go ahead, Andie. You look like.
No, I was just gonna take it back or maybe full circle it. It's interesting because I think we've spent a lot of decades sort of being individualistic and sort of separate from each other and, doing our own thing. And at the end of the day, it's all coming back that we all have to be connected. We have to start connecting back to one another. We have to start, and I think this sort of is that pathway there, right? Understanding yourself, understanding where you're at emotionally, what needs to get accomplished, like all the things, right? And ultimately, it's this odd thing of, maybe we're back to being under a cave where we all are hovered over around the same fire, and have to rely on one another in a different kind of way.
Another thing that triggers for me is the concept of, so you mentioned the concept of curiosity. So I think in threes just because I'm a freak. So there's
You're not the only one, Jeff.
I think so that's got to be a thing.
It must be. Yeah.
So there's the concept of clarity, which we'll get into in a minute, curiosity, and control. And between the three of those, you have a very powerful tool set to work with people and a very powerful kind of set of levers to move things forward. And so the concept of clarity, I would like to pause for a moment and get your understanding for you individually, what clarity means, and use whatever dimensions you want. But I'd like to get a sense of how you define that and what that means to you before I jump into the next topic.
I've got two if you want me to go first, Andie.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the first thing for me is what you started with about knowing your core values, like knowing who you are, having enough self-awareness of knowing when you're in your, I'll call it like power position, like when I'm feeling my best, when I'm in my flow, it's because I am being kind, I'm acting with integrity, and I'm connecting with people. Like I'm very clear that is what makes me the happiest. It's what drives how I make decisions. It drives how I do what I do, and where I invest my energy. The other part on clarity, to be a little bit more tactical, is knowing where I want to go, right? Like having actual discrete goals. So there's the way I want to feel, which is how I think about my core values, how I want to feel getting to my goals. But what are my goals? Like I want to have a business that does XYZ. I want to work with these folks. I want to work with these number of folks that, whether it's numerical or, qualitative or quantitative, whatever that is, but being really clear. I mean, even in my personal life, I'm very goal driven. My husband and I function at our best. We're our best together when we have a shared project, when we have like a joint goal that we are doing together. And that just became very clear to me, So, and being really specific about what it is that we want to do. What do I want for my life? What does he want for his life? What do we want for our life? So that level of clarity, again, those are the two things that come up for me.
So, I'm going to shift to you, but first I want to potentially prime the pump in a different fashion. Answer whichever way you feel appropriate. There's state as there's reality as a state, meaning there's clarity as a state as it relates to reality, however you look at or you define reality. And the reason I'm weaving these together is you had mentioned a little bit earlier about the social media algorithms. So I'm trying to find out where clarity sits in the continuum of that context, social media algorithms, reality, whatever reality is, and how you see those interplay, if that is a valid question.
So I think I would actually turn this right back around to what Rachael was talking about earlier, and that is self-awareness, right? So if you're living in a space, and we'll just use social media since that's the reference point, you believe that's reality. It's everything coming in at you all the time. If there's never a descending point of view, if you're never seeing anything that looks different, you experience that you don't recognize them. So it is your reality. So even in terms of what's really real versus what people think is real, those two are one and the same. Because it doesn't matter if it's not real at this point. It's real to them, right?
Exactly. I completely and utterly agree with you. So the topic, which I think we would need another podcast to go into more full depth on, is, and the reason I'm teeing this up is this is what I'm knee deep in right now. How do you empower and enable people to see with clarity, to think with precision, to move with very dedicated, kind of purposeful movement?
Yeah.
To help them understand what the real truths are, not the fair and balanced approach. Like here's the two arguments for and against climate change.
Yeah.
There aren't two fucking.
It's essentially
there's a false equivalent, and then there's what reality is. What I'm trying to get at is, I agree with you. Whether it's social media algorithms or just the mainstream media, whatever you want to talk about, there is a profit-based interaction, which is, whether it was intentional or not, here's where we are. Things that engage you and cause you to click more cost advertisers more, and so there's more income, there's more revenue. So if you're able to get someone engaged and have them spin through some scrolling cycle for 3 hours, even if that's all cat videos, you've engaged somebody, so you've made more money, so there's going to do more of that. If you have some folks that already believe ABC 1, 2, 3, and you feed them more content that shows ABC 1, 2, 3, they're engaged more because they're getting things that reinforce their beliefs. If you try and have someone from camp other and you put them into social media stream or mainstream media stream, this person, it's going to seem completely out of whack. And so
you know what the missing element is? And Jeff, I want us to actually get back together to have a longer conversation about this because we're at the top of the time. But I was just listening to someone talking about this very thing and talking about the future of AI and where AI is going and why humans shouldn't become obsolete. It can't become obsolete, but there's one key thing that we're missing. And you know what that is? Which I think all of us probably, we were going to school in college.
Sorry.
Is it me? Am I here? Oh, okay. It said it was stopping the recording.
Yeah, you're there.
Key thing that is missing, critical thinking, right? And I think all of us, I remember being in college taking a whole course on critical thinking, and they've eliminated that. And in an effort, and I'm saying this outright,
I would like to reintroduce that to the human
well, here's the deal, Jeff. It's the only way to stay competitive in this next landscape of life. If you're just a person who's numbly going through life, listening and believing all the things that people are saying, you're a robot, and there's no use for you anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be the critical thinking that's going to make you have any value going forward.
So I'm going to close with this teaser for our subsequent conversation. And I'm not calling this anything other than here's a subject of interest. The clarity effect. How to see through the noise, take back your mind, and change the world.
Oh.
So that would be a good conversation.
Let's do it. Do it.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Clearly, we need more time to chat. You're the best. We always appreciate and learn from you. So thanks for sharing your wisdom and your insights and asking us good questions. We appreciate you. Thanks for making us think.
Can we really try to reschedule this maybe next month or the month after?
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you guys because there's some, like I said, there's stuff that I'm working on that I would love to get your sounding board perspective on. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff.